Today on the Wildlife Family, my grandma gets Basalt to take us to Scotland to see some Loch Ness fog. And then my dad takes me to the airport where we get to fly in a real helicopter. And later Mom teaches me that bats are really mammals and not birds. Whoa! And Uncle Michael and I get small and we go inside Uncle Scopo's mouth to check out how we get cavities in our teeth. And after that, Saigo and Grandpa Matic take me all around the world so that I can see how the seasons are different. Come along with me and meet the smartest family in all the town. The Wildlife Family. Mom can make it plain to see that what goes up eventually comes down. The Wildlife Family. Come and meet the Wildlife Family. We got a lot of real know-how. Grandpa knows a lot about flying. Ask him and he'll show you now. Why do airplanes fly?
When I land, I'll tell you why.
Meanwhile, there's a dragon making some kind of a potion in a vat. The Wildlife Family. And Grandma's no stranger. She can teach you all the dangers found in that. The Wildlife Family. Max is a mechanical marvel. Why? I know copy kind of guy. Maybe he can show you the answer now. If you want to take a look inside. Everybody's in a lather.
Rushing, wondering what's the matter.
Every person here's a cry.
Rushes to the baby side.
What's the deal? What could it be? Just ask the Wildlife Family.
Have you ever wondered why the salty oceans, lightning, thunder, what the earth is like down under? Why there's wind and snow and rain? Let Eartha and Basalt explain.
In Scotland, there's been a series of reported sightings of the Loch Ness Monster.
Come on, everybody! We're leaving!
Where are we going?
To Scotland to look for the Loch Ness Monster.
There's a monster in Scotland?
A lot of people claim to have seen one, but nobody has been able to prove their stories. Now, if we can find it and prove it exists, we'll be famous!
Wow! What a neat video game!
No, Victor, it's a radar device. It uses radio waves to detect things we might not be able to see. It's especially handy in foggy weather. There's a lot of fog in Scotland.
There is? Where does the fog come from?
Well, fog is like a cloud which hovers near the ground.
A real cloud? With water inside?
Precisely! I'll tell you how it works. The air all around us is full of tiny little dust particles and drops of water. When you have a lot of moisture in the air and cold temperatures, the drops of water condense around the specks of dust. And you get fog.
You weren't kidding about the fog. I can barely see Loch Ness from here.
A perfect landing, Basalt.
You could have used your fancy radar device to help me find a better spot to land.
You mean the one that got smashed when you landed?
Oh, wait here. I'll go find you a new one.
We're going to start exploring.
Wow! Why is there so much fog here, Grandma?
At the bottom of this mountain, there's a lake, which releases moisture into the air. At the top of the mountain...
It's real cold?
Yes. When the moisture reaches the top, it cools and condenses into fog.
Grandma, look!
The monster! Our monster seems to have gone back into the lake.
Shouldn't we wait for Basalt?
There's no time!
There's a lot of fog on the lake, too.
Whenever you have a large body of water, like a lake, moisture is released into the air. Then as the wind pushes cooler air over the water,
we get fog.
Right. And I can't see a thing through it. Oh!
The monster!
Hey! Hey, you! You come back here with my binoculars right this instant! Stop that! You're upsetting Victor.
Oh, I never get to have any fun.
It talks?
I think I recognize that voice.
Basalt!
Sorry about that. I guess I just lost my head.
How does it do this? How does it do that? Max is the one with the electronic knack. Machines are his thing, so don't go berserk. Max on the job. You'll find out how they work.
Oops. Hey, Dad!
Yes, Victor.
Why won't my helicopter fly?
It's only a toy, Victor.
My plane is a toy and it flies.
Well, you see, a helicopter doesn't fly exactly like a plane.
Oh, yeah? Well, how does a helicopter fly?
There! Just the thing! Now all we need is... And now we can get a nice close look. You see, Victor, a helicopter flies using the same principles as a plane, but it applies them differently. If you look at the blades on the helicopter's rotor, you'll see they're shaped like the wings of a plane. The top is curved, the bottom is flat. So as the rotor turns, the air passing above the blades moves faster than the air below them. This produces a difference in air pressure, which lifts the blades and the helicopter upward.
I see the rotor turning, but the helicopter's just sitting there.
That's because it's not producing enough lift to counteract the weight of the helicopter.
Are you gonna stand there yakking all day? We got an assignment.
But I'm not.
Come on, Dad!
Okay, ready to take off.
To maneuver a helicopter, you have to change the angle of the blades. Raising the front of the blades produces more lift, and the helicopter rises. A helicopter can do things planes can't, like hover in midair.
Boy, that is neat. Say, Dad, how do you steer the helicopter?
Hold on, I'll show you. Take a break. I'll take over the controls. To steer a helicopter, you just change the angle of the blades, like this. That gives you more lift on one side than on the other, which moves the helicopter. If you want to turn left, for instance, all I have to do is tilt the blades to the left.
Hey, it's working!
Hey! And if you want to turn right,
You tilt the blades to the right.
you got it! Ah!
I think I've had enough rescuing.
And to fly forward or backward, it works the same way.
I've got it. It's all in the blades. What's that little propeller in the back for?
It's very important. Without it, the helicopter would spin in the opposite direction of the rotor. I'll show you.
No!
Are my taxes paying for this?
Oops! Sorry, guys!
Look, Dad, I got it to fly. It's all in the blades.
Hey, the questions that you have are not too serious. The animals and plants are not so mysterious, so have no fear. Everything will be made clear. Vanilla, Quake, and Quack are here.
Then the voice said, "Beware! The vampire bat is coming to get you!"
Oh, I see. Max, are you trying to scare Victor again?
Yeah, it's too bad I can't get around in the dark as easily as bats can.
What's so special about bats?
Come on, I'll show you. People think of bats as scary, but in spite of their bad reputation, they're harmless and highly intelligent animals. They actually help us by feeding on a variety of insects and other pests. Bats like to live in dark places, like caves.
But I thought birds like fresh air and sunlight.
But bats aren't birds, they're mammals. In fact, they're the only mammals that fly. Bats are nocturnal. That means they sleep during the day and come out at night.
If they only come out at night, they must have good eyes.
Actually, bats have poor eyesight.
So, Mom, if bats can't see very well to begin with, how can they fly around in the dark without smacking into stuff?
They use their ears. Bats sort of have their own built-in sonar.
Oh, I wish they'd wake up so we can see how it works.
Leave that to us.
Birds! Just what I needed.
Whoa! Mom, let's follow it.
Hold on. Here we go. You see, Victor? The bats are able to get around just fine. Their sonar system is quite sophisticated. Let's take a closer look. When they're flying, bats produce sound waves.
I don't hear anything.
That's because the frequency of the sound waves is too high for us to hear. But the bats can hear them, and when these sounds hit something, like this tree, they bounce back to the bat's ears.
Oh, like my ball bounces back to me when I throw it.
That's right. From the sounds, the bat can tell what lies ahead, how far away it is, and how big or small it is. It takes a bat less than 1,000th of a second to produce the sound waves and analyze their echo.
Don't they get confused by other bats' sound waves?
No, each bat can recognize its own cry. Bats also use their sonar to hunt. The bat's sonar can even penetrate shallow water, which means they can catch small fish. Some species of butterfly have found a way to avoid being caught by bats. When they hear the bat's sounds, they fold their wings and play dead. Other species produce their own sound waves to jam those made by bats.
Pretty sneaky, huh?
You have seen nothing like this. Bring these two guys you can't miss. You wonder what's inside you. These are just the guys to guide you. Come on, let's go. Let's go, let's go. These guys are in the know. Micro and Scopo.
Delicious.
Having fun?
We were just having a little snack.
Both of you better brush your teeth before all those sweets give you cavities.
Cavities? What are cavities?
Cavities are holes in your teeth.
Ew! Where do they come from?
I'll show you. Open up, Scopo. Your teeth are valuable tools, and taking good care of them is essential. A tooth is made up of two parts, the crown and the root. The crown is the part you can see. It's covered with enamel, which protects the tooth. Enamel is the hardest substance in the entire human body. In fact, it's one of the hardest substances found in nature. The layer below the enamel is the dentine. It also protects the tooth, although it's not as hard as the enamel. It acts as a cushion against shocks.
And what's that?
Well, that's the pulp. It contains nerves and blood vessels. So it's the part of our teeth that feels pain, hot, and cold.
Hey, that kind of looks like a tree root.
That part of the tooth is called the root. It's attached to the gum.
But all this talk about teeth has made me hungry.
Well, then this is a perfect opportunity to see teeth in action. Come on, Victor.
Whoa! This is like being in a cave. Hey! Uncle Scopo's mouth is flooding!
That's saliva. It helps us digest food and protect our teeth. Scopo, stop eating! Now, take a look through these. It all begins with bacteria.
You taught me about bacteria. They can make you sick.
Sometimes, but bacteria are everywhere. In our mouths, in the food we eat. Now, by themselves, the bacteria in our mouths aren't usually a problem. You see, like any living beings, bacteria need food to survive.
I bet they eat the food that sticks to our teeth.
You're right. Then the bacteria form a yellow film called dental plaque.
Is dental plaque dangerous?
It sure is. It digests sugar and other substances found in food and turns them into lactic acid, a very powerful acid that dissolves the enamel and eats into the dentine.
That's bad.
Yes, it is. It's the reason for tooth decay. Then the bacteria settle into the cavity and take over the digging. And when they reach the pulp's nerve, the nerve sends a distress signal to the brain. That's what triggers a toothache.
That's horrible.
Scopo, I've just shown Victor what can happen to your teeth. So now it's up to you to show him how to keep it from happening.
Hurry up, Uncle Scopo. Those bacteria look hungry.
When you brush your teeth properly, you remove plaque and bacteria. And you remove the food that could feed any bacteria that might remain. Good work, Scopo.
Thanks. I feel minty fresh now.
Ready for some more cake, Uncle Scopo? Well, I guess that's another way to prevent cavities.
Who has all the answers about the sun and moon and stars? That would be Zygo and Magic. Who can tell us all about the atmosphere and Mars? That would be Zygo and Magic. Pick a spot in outer space, they've been all around the place. Zygo and Magic, here they come.
Our snowman is gonna catch cold.
He's not the only one. I've had enough of winter. I'm ready for summer.
First, you'll have to go through spring, my favorite season.
Why are there seasons, Grandpa?
The best place to answer that is from space. You know, Victor, different parts of the world don't have the same seasons at the same time.
Why not?
I'll show you. The Earth orbits around the sun, completing a large circle in 365 days.
Wow! That is a long time.
It's only a year.
And this is the Earth's axis.
Yeah, Grandma taught me about that. It's an imaginary line crossing the Earth from the North Pole to the South Pole. And the Earth spins around it.
Very good. I bet she also explained that the axis is tilted in relation to the sun, like so. That means that if I pick any place on the Earth, the distance between this place and the sun changes as the Earth makes its orbit.
So, if it's nearer the sun, does it get hotter?
It sure does.
That's summertime, and the living is easy.
And as this place moves away from the sun, it becomes colder.
Winter!
Right!
I'm gonna take advantage of all this, son.
Now, imagine a line running across the middle of the Earth.
The equator!
Grandma again. Good for her. The halves of the Earth on either side of the equator are called hemispheres. When it's hot in the hemisphere tilted towards the sun,
it's cold in the other one.
When it's summer in the northern hemisphere, where we live, it's winter in the southern hemisphere, because that's when it's furthest from the sun.
Is that why days are longer in the summer?
Yes, and the days get shorter as our hemisphere tilts away from the sun.
And it gets colder. But summer and winter aren't the only two seasons. There's also spring and fall.
Yes, true enough, Victor. Since it takes the Earth one whole year to go once around the sun, the weather and the heat change slowly. But there are some places on Earth where there aren't any seasons at all.
Where, Grandpa?
The Amazon rainforest, for example.
Or anywhere else that's along the equator.
The sun's rays nearly always shine straight down along the equator, so it's hot all year round.
And days are pretty much the same length.
Of course, there's a reason it's called a rainforest.
I think maybe I like changing seasons after all. Well, Victor, what'd you learn today?
Oh, tons of neat stuff. I learned that fog is like a cloud with water inside, and that it hovers near the ground. I learned that the way to maneuver a helicopter is by changing the angle of the blades. I also learned that bats have really bad eyesight, but they have a sonar system to find stuff.
The bat's sonar can even penetrate shallow water, which means they can catch small fish.
I learned that each tooth has enamel, dentine, pulp, nerves, and roots. And I learned that at the equator, the sun's rays shine straight down so that each day lasts about the same length of time as the next one.
Sounds like a pretty big day.
It was, but he still had plenty of questions left for next time.